Welcome back to Recap Storyteller. Today, we're going to recap the sci-fi adventure film from 2018 titled Aquaman. Please subscribe and enjoy. The movie begins in 1985, showing a man named Tom, who works as a lighthouse keeper. While on duty, he sees an injured woman on the beach. Tom takes her to his house, and when she wakes up, she introduces herself as Atlanta, the Queen of Atlantis. She fled Atlantis because she was being forced to marry King Orvac, whom she didn't love. Tom lets her live with him, and they work as lighthouse keepers. Over time, they fall in love and have a son named Arthur. Atlanta hopes that Arthur can bring together the people of Atlantis and those who live on land. Their family is happy until Atlantean soldiers arrive, disrupting their peace. They demand Atlantis return to Atlantis, but she refuses and fights and defeats them. Atlanta knows they won't stop coming after her, so she decides to return to Atlantis and marry King Orvac to protect Tom and their son. Several years later, Arthur is in elementary school and his class goes to an aquarium tour. When his friends start bullying him, the fishes in the aquarium becomes agitated, and Arthur calms them down. This is where Arthur's special abilities start to show. His friends start calling him Aquaman. As a teenager, Atlanta secretly sends her advisor, Volko, to teach Arthur various skills, including swimming and combat. Arthur becomes skilled, but he harbors a strong dislike for Atlantis. He learns that his mother was executed by King Orvac for being involved with surface dwellers and having a half-human son. The story shifts to modern pirates led by Kane and his son David robbing a Russian Navy submarine. Things go smoothly for them until something hits the submarine, causing panic. It's Arthur, who has come to save the submarine's crew. He defeats the pirates, and when David tries to fight him, Arthur's superhuman abilities make him invulnerable. Kane tries to help out but ends up injuring himself. David asks Arthur for help, but Arthur refuses and leaves them because they're bad people who harm innocent others. Kane tells David to leave and pulls the grenade on purpose to commit suicide after his father's death. David promises to take revenge against Arthur. Meanwhile, at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean, two kings named Ormond and Nereus from different kingdoms are having a secret meeting in a special place called the Seven Kings Assembly. Long ago, all the kingdoms of Atlantis united under the rule of the legendary king named Adeline Orma. Arthur's half-brother is King Orvac's son, and his mother is Atlanta. One king begins to influence Nereus to reunite the entire kingdom of Atlantis and declare war on the surface dwellers because they have caused damage to the ocean by throwing factory waste into the sea, causing harm. Nereus warns that the Brine Kingdom and other kingdoms will not submit easily. On the other hand, there is a rumor that Atlanta had an illicit relationship with surface dwellers and had a son. Suddenly, they are surprised by a submarine that comes to attack them, injuring Nereus and many of his soldiers. Fortunately, the worm easily destroys the submarine after the attack. Nereus finally agrees to declare war against the surface dwellers. The attack appears to have been carried out by David to avenge his father's death, but a few moments later, some of Atlanta's soldiers come to see him to deliver a message from Orm. Orm tells David that Aquaman is not their enemy and gives David gold as a sign of their alliance. Meanwhile, Arthur comes out of the bar and takes his heavily drunk father to the car. Then, a woman named Mara from Atlantis arrives to tell him some important news about Mira, his father's fiancée. She asks Arthur to go to Atlantis and stop Orm's war plan, which could cause the deaths of millions of people. Arthur is Atlantis' eldest son and has the right to be the heir to the throne. However, Arthur refuses and promises to avenge Atlantis' cruelty by sending his mother to the beasts of the Trench Kingdom. On the way home, Arthur feels something strange after seeing thousands of birds flying away from the sea. It turns out to be caused by a massive tsunami. Arthur tries to escape, but the tsunami hits his car and separates him from his father. Luckily, Mara arrives in time to save them, and she quickly removes the water from Tom's body. Arthur is very grateful to Mara for saving his father, but Mara tells Arthur that a big wave called a tsunami is just the start. Yesterday, a disaster happened, and many people died and a lot of things got damaged. The tsunami also pushed all the trash in the sea back to the land. Arthur didn't want to go with Mara to Atlantis before, but now he does. They reach Atlantis, but they have to go through strict checks. It's okay, because Mara is a diplomat, and she's the king's daughter. Atlantis is beautiful, and Arthur is amazed when he sees it for the first time. Mara takes him to meet Volko in a secret place. Volko tells Arthur to become the king because Om has made two other kingdoms attack the surface. To become the king, Arthur needs a special golden trident that belonged to King Adlan. If he has it, everyone in Atlantis will follow him. Volko starts telling a story about when seven kingdoms united. They were very advanced and had a lot of technology, but they become too greedy for power. One of their technologies went wrong and Atlantis sank underwater. They evolved to breathe underwater. King Adlan was exiled and his trident was lost. Volko shows Arthur something they found in the desert, and he thinks it has a record that can show where King Adlan's trident is. Soldiers come and attack them because they found out Arthur was there. Volko and Mara escape to keep their plan a secret. Arthur tries to fight the soldiers, but he forgets that on Atlantis, all weapons can hurt him. He gets captured and will be given to Orm. They tie him up like an animal. Orm insults Arthur and tells him he wants to fight the surface dwellers because they're destroying the sea with factories and waste. Arthur challenges Orm to a fight to stop the war. They fight in a ring of fire and Arthur almost defeats Orm, but Orm breaks Arthur's trident and wins. Mara comes to help Arthur, but she sacrifices herself to save him. She tells him to escape. They escape even though Orm and his soldiers shoot at them and damage their ship. They drop their ship into lava to get away. They meet some whales, and Arthur can understand their language. They ask the whales to help them hide in their mouths, and they survive. Orm thinks they died in the lava. They continue their journey to the Sahara Desert to find the Desert Kingdom. Mara doesn't know that she has a bracelet that Orm can use to track her. He orders his elite soldiers to kill them, but King Nereus threatens to end their alliance if Orm hurts his daughter. Orm sends a message to David and gives him a powerful weapon that shoots plasma and only needs water as ammo. David is happy because he can use it to kill Arthur. When David gets home, he starts studying the weapon. Mara's device finds the Desert Kingdom's location. Mara doesn't know much about the sky, so she jumps out without a parachute. They don't find anything at first, but then Arthur falls into a hole. The hole leads them to the Desert Kingdom, where they find a round table. Mara puts an ancient record from Volko on it. At first, nothing happens, but she's confident that it will work. Mara takes a few drops of Arthur's sweat and adds them to the old record in the same way they did before. Suddenly, the message from King Edlin appears. In the message, King Edlin talks about his trident and gives them some clues about where to find it. To get the legendary trident, they must travel to the ends of the world and search a hidden sea. They must look inside a bottle to find a map, and only the true king will be able to see it. Then, a bottle appears, and it contains a map. Arthur and Mara quickly head to Italy following the directions of the map. At first, they can't solve the riddle, but Arthur remembers King Edlin's clue that only the true king can see it. They discover several statues of Roman heroes and Arthur tries to identify them all. He realizes that only Romulus became a king and was the first Roman king. Arthur places the bottle on Romulus' statue and finds the next destination. The clue instructs them to go to the end of the world where the hidden sea is. Suddenly, they are attacked by elite soldiers and David, who calls himself Black Manta. Arthur tries to fight David, but he doesn't know that David has Atlantean armor and manages to harm him many times. David is a tough opponent because he has Atlantean weapons, but fortunately, his costume experiences a system failure and he ends up hurting himself. Meanwhile, Mara refuses to return to the kingdom and fights off the Atlantean soldiers. She defeats all the soldiers after realizing that they can't breathe on the surface. Arthur is seriously injured and he tells Mara to remove her bracelet because they are being tracked. In the next scene, they finally arrive at a scary sea filled with storms. They are surprised by the appearance of scary creatures that live in the sea. At first, Arthur and Mara try to fight them, but there are too many creatures, so they have to hide inside their ship. Luckily, Arthur finds some flares and it turns out the creatures are afraid of light. Arthur takes some flares just in case and dives into the water to search for King Edlin's trident. They discover that the sea is the kingdom of the Trench, where Arthur's mother was executed. Millions of trench creatures try to eat them, but they find a source of light and the trench creatures stop chasing them. The source of light turns out to be a huge underwater vortex. When they try to enter it, the vortex throws them somewhere else. Mara falls unconscious and more trench creatures try to attack her, but something saves her and takes her to safety. Arthur suddenly appears on the surface and realizes he's in the hidden sea they were searching for. The one who saved Mara is revealed to be Atlanta, and she is still alive. Finally, she's reunited with Arthur. Atlanta tells Arthur that she has been living there for 20 years and survived. She also shows him where Adelin's trident is. The trident is in a secret place behind the waterfall, but a legendary monster named Kraken always guards it. Kraken won't let anyone take it. Arthur immediately goes into the waterfall to get the trident. He finds it, but just as he's about to take it, a giant creature, as described by Atlanta, suddenly appears to attack him. Although the creature is very powerful and keeps attacking him, Arthur doesn't give up. He keeps trying to get the trident. When Kraken is about to kill him, Arthur uses his ability to communicate with Kraken. Kraken is very surprised because no one could understand his language before except King Adlan. Finally, Kraken allows Arthur to take the trident. Now, Arthur has succeeded in getting Adeline's trident and all of Atlantis will obey him. Meanwhile, Orm has managed to unite 3 other kingdoms to join him. Now, he's about to invade the Brine Kingdom to force them to join him in fighting against the surface dwellers. However, the Brine Kingdom doesn't want to submit. They choose to fight against Orm. In the battle, Orm almost kills the king of the Brine Kingdom, but then a giant creature appears from below the water and immediately attacks Orm's army. It turns out that the creature is controlled by Arthur and scares all of Orm's troops. The whole of Atlantis is amazed to see Arthur with Adlan's trident, and he can command all of the inhabitants of the kingdom, including the trench creatures. Arthur easily controls all of Orm's cavalry and counterattacks them, even though they keep attacking him. Arthur then challenged Orm to a duel on the surface because Orm previously defeated him underwater. The duel is inevitable and is witnessed by kings from other kingdoms. At first, Arthur has difficulty fighting Orm, but he uses a move that Volko had taught him. He finally manages to defeat Orm. Orm tells Arthur to kill him, but Arthur refuses to kill his own brother. Atlanta then intervenes and tells them to stop the bloodshed. Orm is surprised and relents after learning that his mother is still alive. However, Volko immediately orders the soldiers to arrest him because he has committed war crimes, similar to historical figures like Hitler and other dictators. Now, Arthur doesn't have to worry because all of Atlantis finally accepts him as their rightful king. Atlanta is also finally reunited with Tom after years apart. The film closes by showing David, who is still alive. He is saved by a doctor and scientist named Stephen Shin, who is obsessed with the Atlantis legend. David agrees to help Shin find the Atlantis kingdom on the condition that Shin helps him discover Aquaman's true identity. Thanks for watching till the end. Please like and subscribe for more videos like this.